Trapped in Darkness, My 7-Year Nightmare. My name is Colleen Stan, and in 1977 I was taken hostage, tortured, and locked in a coffin-like box for 7 years. Here's my story. Have you ever felt true darkness? Not the kind that hides in shadows, but a darkness so deep it seems to breathe, to devour you. For 7 years, I was buried in that void. 7 years of silence, isolation, and terror. Let me take you into that darkness, because once you're there, you'll never see the world the same again. The van ride. I still remember the way the sun glinted off the van's windshield, the friendly way Janice cradled her baby in her arms. "We're heading that way," Cameron said. "Hop in." Why did I hop in the van? I was just trying to find a ride to my friend's house to celebrate a birthday party. It seemed so normal, so safe. I even took precautions before entering Cameron and Janice's van. I turned down 2 other rides that day, but Janice with her baby made me feel safe. How could I have known that I was stepping into a nightmare? At first, the ride was uneventful, but then Cameron turned off the highway onto a dirt road leading deep into the woods. That's when the tension in the air thickened. I opened my mouth to ask where we were going, but before I could speak, Cameron pulled out a knife. The basement. When they dragged me into their home, I felt the cold cement of the basement floor beneath my feet. Cameron forced me to kneel before the box, a twisted grin on his face. "Get used to it," he said. "This is where you belong." The first time they locked me in, I thought I would suffocate. The air was stale, thick, like I was breathing in my own fear. I clawed at the walls, screaming until my voice was raw, but the box swallowed every sound, every tear. It became my tomb. I was fed scraps of food like an animal. I had no bathroom to use, just a bedpan. The endless hours. Time had no meaning in the box. Minutes felt like hours, hours like days. My mind became my worst enemy. I started to hallucinate, whispers in the dark, the sound of footsteps that weren't there. I wasn't just trapped physically. I was being devoured from the inside out. I clung to memories of my family, but even those began to blur. My own name started to feel foreign, like it didn't belong to me anymore. Cameron had stolen not just my freedom, but my identity. The training. Cameron forced me to call him master, telling me that I need to do as I'm told, as my life depends on it. I wasn't even allowed to speak without his permission. I was locked in the box for 23 hours a day, and when I was let out, he would abuse me. He did the most inhumane acts to me. The abuse is too harsh to even share here, and I don't want to relive the memories. He didn't just want to imprison my body, he wanted to break my spirit. Every day he drilled rules into me. Any mistake, any hesitation was met with punishment. I stopped feeling human. I became a thing, a shadow of myself. The weight of that chain was nothing compared to the weight of his control. I was no longer a person. I was his possession. The whispered confession. Janice slowly walked towards me and whispered that the company is not real, that Cameron made it up to frighten me and take control over me. When Janice finally told me the truth, my world shifted. I had believed Cameron's lies about a shadowy organization ready to kill me if I disobeyed. Now, I realized it was just another chain to keep me in line. But even with the truth, escape felt impossible. A visit to the attic. Once, Cameron took me to the attic. It was the first time I'd seen sunlight in months. The light was blinding, almost painful, but it reminded me that the world was still out there, waiting. It was a cruel glimpse of freedom I couldn't reach. He let me see the world, just for a moment, only to remind me how far I was from it. Every time he gave me hope, he ripped it away, leaving me more broken than before. The nightmares within the box. Even sleep offered no escape. My dreams were filled with shadows, faceless figures standing over me, whispering my name. I'd wake up gasping, unsure of where the nightmares ended and reality began. The box had its own voice, groans, creaks, and whispers in the dark. I started to believe it was alive, that it fed on my fear. In the silence, every sound became a weapon. A failed attempt. There was one night when I thought I had a chance. Cameron had left the room, and I managed to loosen the latch on the box. My hands trembled as I pushed it open, but before I could climb out, he returned. He slammed it shut on me, and he calmly told me that I'll never be able to get away. This feeling of helplessness jolted throughout my body. That night, he left me in the box for 3 days straight. No food, no water, just darkness. He wanted to teach me a lesson, and he succeeded. The breaking point. I thought I'd hit my breaking point before, but I was wrong. The isolation, the constant fear, it wore me down piece by piece. There were days I wanted to give up, to let the darkness take me, but something inside me refused to let go. In those moments, I made a promise to myself. No matter how long it took, no matter what I had to endure, I would survive. I would get out. The final escape. When Janice finally helped me escape, my heart pounded so loudly I thought it would give me away. Every shadow felt like Cameron, every creak like his footsteps. But I didn't stop. I couldn't. This was my chance, my only chance, to finally escape my 7-year real-life nightmare. When the police finally arrived, the weight of 7 years lifted, but the scars, the fear, the abuse, those would never leave me. The haunting truth. I'll never get those years back. Instead, I'm left with haunting memories that are implanted in my mind from those 7 horrific years. I try to live a normal life, but the past is always creeping its way back, making it difficult to live. My mind has been rewired from the trauma. I'm here to tell you, monsters walk among us, wearing ordinary faces. The man or woman at the grocery checkout, at the gas station, the ones you wave to and say hi as you pass them walking their dog, your neighbor taking their baby out for a stroll. You want to believe they are good people. You've had safe interactions with them, so everything leads you to believe they are genuinely good people. But deep down, remember, you don't know them or the dark secrets they hide. These monsters blend into society so well that you need to look over your shoulder constantly. The next time you see a friendly stranger offering you a ride, ask yourself, how well can you see behind their mask?